Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've found a new location. I've never been to this particular woodland park before in Westchester County. I basically just did a Google map search and this looked promising, so here I am. I was hoping to catch peak fall color, which actually is about 10 miles south of here, but this particular spot in this park is mostly either evergreens or beeches and oaks, and the beeches and oaks are among the first trees that turn when autumn comes, and therefore they're largely bare. But as I come along this stream here, there is a promising scene right across there. You can see that pinkish bush. I'm not quite sure what tree it is, alongside the river. And since there's very little wind, almost no wind at all, I should be able to get some nice reflections. So I'm going to scout around a little bit, then come back to you, show you what I've found. And this may be the last decent weekend of autumn foliage photography. So it's the first day of autumn, first day of November, I should say. And it's unusually warm. It might actually hit 70 degrees Fahrenheit before the day is out. So I'm going to see how it works out here. I'm starting with my first location. I'm just going to walk along the river and see if there's, what's my best angle to catch an interesting image. So, be back shortly. So, I've started from my first composition. It's on this, based on this pink bush across the stream from here. I'm not quite sure what it is. It might be a sumac. I'm not sure what it is, but I do love the color and I like how the reflections are in the stream. As you can see here, I've set the camera very low because my foreground element is going to be this group of oak leaves that are floating there. And I've got the camera just low enough so that there's not too much distance between the reflection of the tree, which you can see in the water, and the leaves themselves. Now, if I were to turn the polarizer, because I do have a polarizer even on a cloudy day, you can see how much reflection of the ambient sky there is in the water. I kind of want to not have that. So I've turned it pretty much all the way to the max, and probably going to have to do some work in post. I may even have to lower the camera a little bit more than what it is right now, just because there's still more gap between the foreground and the background than I really want. And separation or lack thereof is really important for making a shot like this work. So I'm going to take my first exposure right now. My settings are, with the polarizer on, 1.3 seconds at f13 and ISO 100. I'm going to have to focus stack this because of the distance between the leaves and the bush in the back. But I think I'll only need a 2-image stack because once I focus on that shrub, its reflection will also be in focus. So here's my first exposure. Yeah, and that's not too bad, although I am going to have to get down a little lower. So I'm going to reset this image, and my final result you're going to see right now. Hi, I'm speaking to you from the future, not your future, the video's future. Because what you should be looking at right now is a piece of camera that I thought I recorded, in which I was complaining about the difficulty I was having finding a composition, and then I decided to try some intentional camera movement, ICM, in order to create some more abstracted compositions based on color and maybe using the suggested shapes of the tree trunks as some kind of a foundation. So I would take my photo camera, this one, and kind of jerk the camera around like this during a 1/4 exposure. I would use a 2-second timer in order to do that. And then once the video screen went blank, I would, during the exposure, that's when I would move the camera around or maybe zoom the lens in and out. And I got a couple decent images out of that, which I think you're going to see in a minute. But unfortunately, that whole piece of camera wasn't recorded because I didn't press the record button on this camera. So here we go. Hope you enjoyed the images, and then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled video. So I was whining about not having a composition, and I'm looking at one that pretty much, if it was a snake, it would have bitten me, because it's right where I had the camera set up to do the last piece to camera. Basically, there's these 3 old trees, old and large. It's kind of an old growth forest here. Thank God it's been preserved. And it's got, I think these trees are oaks. Yeah, definitely oaks. And behind them are some smaller beech trees, which have turned. Now, right now, the colors, the clouds are just starting to roll back in, so it was hard to really see the color. But I really liked how these 5 trees, basically the 3 big ones and 2 smaller ones behind, this one and that one, lined up. I might have to move the camera over just slightly to the left, like so, to bring that left side tree a little more into focus, a little more into the composition. And then I'll just tilt the camera up a little bit, but not too much, because I don't want to get sky. So here's my basic composition. You can see I got these 3 trees are covered with algae and mold. Well, actually, neither one of those actually is really moss. And I'm really liking how this is looking. So with the polarizer on, which I'll turn a little bit just to see what it does to the color since it is slightly backlit. Okay, right about there is good. I'll swing a little more to the right. I've got this framed as a 16:9 cropped in camera. And I'm going to take basically 5 shots, each one focused on a different tree. And that should bring everything into focus very nicely. So I'm going to bring this down to my f13, ISO 100, 0.8 of a second each. There's no breeze, so I don't have to worry about moving foliage. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to take another 4, and you'll see my final result after this. And I'll also put the ICM shots that I was talking about next as part of the series of shots, and let me know which ones you like the best. So as I was packing up for my last shooting location, an employee of the preserve came along the trail and advised me that there was an interesting quarry further down. So here I am, and there definitely is an interesting quarry around here. They used to mine feldspar and quartz and some other materials. But right here in the middle of the quarry is this wonderful old pine tree. I can't tell if it's one tree with multiple trunks or if it's several trees that have just grown together. But there's all kinds of interesting roots and cavities and peeling bark and moss and ferns. I mean, there's a bunch of compositions right over here. So I'm going to set up and take a few, and then I'll walk it through, at least the first 1 or 2 of them. But I could definitely shoot here all day if I wanted to, and I just might. Now, setting up this shot is going to be a little more difficult than I thought, simply because of the angle and the fact that behind me to the right is kind of a high sky. And I really don't want to get that in the shot, but I really want to focus on the ferns and the tree trunk. Now, the thing is that I have my widest lens of 14-35 on here, so that I can get as much of this stuff in one image as possible. But as you can see, if I come around this side to get the ferns, get the sky poking in right there to the right. Then if I come over this way, I don't have that, but now I don't have the most flattering angle on these roots here, which you can see how really gnarly and stuff they are. I think I'm going to wind up taking a whole bunch of photos from this location. and move the camera all over the place because I didn't put it on the tripod right now because I don't want to get committed to it. You know, they say that tripods grow roots, and this is definitely a situation where it's the roots of this tree I want to focus on and trying to get at the best angle. So I'm going to take a few different variations of this image, of this composition. There's just so many ways I could do this, and whatever works out best, I'm going to show you. This is going to be sweet. I ultimately decided that a super wide angle lens distorted the image too much, so I changed to a longer focal length and took multiple images to stitch together a panorama. I have two versions of my final composition. One is in this 5x4 format, and then I cropped it down to 16:9 to put more focus on the roots which drew my attention in the first place. Which do you like best? Let me know in the comments below. Hi again from the future. I guess it wouldn't be a genre-driven video these days without some kind of a technical snafu. In this case, I was recording another piece of camera about my next couple of compositions, but I made the mistake of, after switching my wide-angle zoom back to my video camera, which I'm recording on right now, I somehow, while I was trying to turn off the stabilizer because it's on the tripod, I also turned off the autofocus. So the whole piece was completely out of focus, which I didn't realize because I didn't check the footage, which I usually do. So in any case, I had a view over the ravine that was opposite the gorge, and I found a couple of compositions that were pretty simple based on just some tree trunks that were overlooking the gorge. And you know, so I wound up taking a couple of vertical ones and a couple of horizontal ones, and whatever worked, you'll see in the images upcoming. Well, I have to re-record the outro also because I had done the first one from the same spot that I did the previous piece of camera without changing any settings, including putting the autofocus back on. So anyway, I hope you've liked what you've seen. I hope you enjoyed my video and the images that I showed. And if you did, you want to see more, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed already. And hit the notification bell. It's right down here so that the next time I upload, you'll see the content right away. I appreciate any likes, comments, or other feedback that you may have, and that all will help grow the channel. Thanks a lot. And I'll see you next time. Bye.